Alright guys, today we're here to do our first review on an Arcade1Up machine. Now, I'm really excited about this video because it is the start of me getting into basically arcade machines. There is a project that I've been working on for the last month, and it's going to take another month or so. If you guys watch my movie room tour, you'll see a sneak peek of it in that video. If you guys want to check that video out, my movie room tour gives you a sneak peek of what I'm working on. You guys can take some guesses already, obviously, by what the way I'm talking about it, but this is an Arcade1Up machine. This is a Star Wars edition. I'm really excited to bring this review to you guys. I've been putting it through its paces for the last couple of weeks as one of the first arcade cabinets that I actually own from Arcade1Up. I was excited to dive into this one and see what it's all about and what Arcade1Up machines are all about, because this is actually their third generation now. Their first generation arcade cabinets, they came out with like a Street Fighter version. Asteroids was part of their first line, and then they came up with a second generation line, basically, where they made some improvements and stuff. They started including well, we'll go into when we see the new arcade cabinet, but the second generation made some improvements, and this is now the third generation of their arcade cabinet. This is one of their latest arcade cabinets that they just released. It's just released this October, and I'm really looking forward to it. So before we take a look at the cabinet and get into some gameplay and show you guys what this arcade cabinet's all about, I just want to tell you guys the building process of it. When I actually built it before I did this video, it wasn't that bad. It just like everyone says, it takes about 45 minutes to an hour. And let me tell you guys, I have no clue at all on how to build anything. Everybody who knows me knows that when I need to build something, I usually ask somebody else for help because I'm pretty bad at building pretty much anything. But this one I actually built completely by myself on the first try. Of course, the first one I built took a little bit longer. It took maybe an hour and 20 minutes or so just because I was figuring out the thing. But now I can build these like nothing, and it takes like 45 minutes to build the cabinet and then another 15 minutes to build the actual riser that it sits on. So the building process is really straightforward. Anybody can build these things. If I can build it, anybody can build it. So let's go ahead and get right into this video and show you guys exactly what this actually looks like and show you some gameplay before we come back here and give you guys my final thoughts on the machine and if it's worth your money.
Gaming tech, eating brekkie is the gaming tech, going for a recce is the gaming tech, gaming techie is the gaming tech, gaming techie.
Alright guys, here is the arcade cabinet. This is the front view. This is obviously before I turn it on. I wanted to show you guys a clean look of the arcade machine. Those are the three games that it comes with. So it's got Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. And this is the artwork here on the side, as you guys can see. Really, really iconic. For those of you who have ever seen this arcade machine back in the 80s when this came out from Atari, when they made the partnership with Lucasfilms to bring this machine to life, this is exactly an exact replica of exactly how this thing looks like. Really, really cool stuff. And the riser here that it sits on is actually a little bit taller than what the Arcade1Up machines usually like, a couple of more inches, because they needed to get this control board here basically, perfect size to your actual hand and to your body's length. So they made the riser a little bit taller. But let's go ahead and step away and let's turn this thing on so you guys can see exactly how this works. It loads up. It's got the light up marquee at the top. Lights up there with the logo. It's got the Atari logo there and the Star Wars. And there is the home screen. So, like I said, it comes with the Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. One of the cool things about the third generation, and going forward, they say they want to do the same thing for all of them, is the light-up marquee. This thing is awesome with the light-up marquee and stuff like that. Really, really looks nice. With the artwork on the side and stuff, the light-up marquee. And one of the things that obviously also got a huge upgrade in comparison to their first and second generation line is the actual screen. I don't know if it's coming across here. Remember, this used to use vector graphics back in the day, and it's not exactly as good as a vector display, but it's really, really good and much better than what their first generation screens that they were using. This is a really sharp looking screen, and as soon as you turn this machine on, compared to one of their older machines that first came out, like if you compare it to the Street Fighter screen or something like that, it's immediately noticeable that the resolution's better and how crisp and clear that this looks in person. Hopefully you're getting some of that in the video. And this is obviously the yoke that this is how this game was played. This is why this game was so unique back in the day. It didn't obviously use arcade controls. It obviously this is how you move around. You can see when you move around on the screen. Makes a little Star Wars noise when you're selecting it. And if you push it down, you got settings for each of those screens, which we'll get into here in a minute. So the yoke there, and it's got the triggers on the back, and it's got the 2 buttons on the top, and it's got the on and off button here, of course. And then what's nice about the 3rd generation as well that they started doing is before it used to, for the volume, it used to be just 3 settings. It was either off, medium, or high. There was no in between here. Now when you hit this volume button, you can actually, you know, set it to certain settings and put it to certain volumes and stuff like that, which just is so much better and so much nicer. So, without further ado, let's sit this thing down and let's go ahead and get into some gameplay of these 3 games to show you guys what you can get into and some of the settings that you can dive into this with. So, as we talked about before, we can go and scroll through and we can hit the settings for each one. Each game has a few more settings than the last. So you can see here on the original Star Wars game, you got the starting shield that you can do. You can change the difficulty. You can even change how many shields you have. Music and attract, you set to yes. So basically that means that if you're not touching the cabinet and you walk away from it for a certain amount of time, you'll have the, you'll have the music playing while the game is running. So people, kind of like all arcade machines basically did. And then you can come here and hit reset, save, reset high scores if you want to reset the high scores. And you can change the vector glow from standard. You can make it even brighter than what it is. That's for the first game. If you go to the second game here, same thing, Empire Strikes Back. It has a starting shield. You can change the difficulty. You can change the level, the Jedi level mode here. Music again, and of course that again with the high scores and the vector glow. And the last game here has an interesting setting for all you guys, which is Return of the Jedi here. So not only can you change your starting lives and your bonus life and the difficulty like usual, but it also has a scan line option, so you can actually switch this on and off. If you guys aren't familiar with scan lines, basically it was like that CRT effect when you're playing an arcade game. That's basically what you can do. So if people prefer that kind of look, then you can actually set the CRT scans to turn on. I prefer to play with them off, but if you guys prefer that look from back in the day, then there is that. Now, let's go ahead and show you guys what some of the gameplay is like of these here. Gives you the controls as soon as you start the game up. Now, I'm not going to be very good at this because I'm playing with one hand because I don't have a perfect tripod to get the perfect length of this thing right now. So just so you guys are aware, I'm playing one-handed to show you guys what the gameplay is like. So it shows you the high scores.
Where's Pride standing by?
Showing you the countdown. Basically, in this game, they made it so you're going after the Death Star. So that's what you're doing. You're doing the Death Star scenario. And you're going around and you're shooting these things. You're manipulating the plane. Now we're going in to get the Death Star. Now you have to shoot these side things to get as many points as possible and not get hit and travel within here. This is basically you mimicking destroying the Star Destroyer inside. And you have to hit that button so you can actually escape the Death Star, because if you don't hit that button at the end, you won't actually destroy it. So it says Death Star destroyed, bonus for how many lives and energy is left, and what your shields are at, and then you go back to it, and now you're basically doing the next wave, and kind of going through that. And there's some special things that you can see that happen between each level. But you're basically going through waves fighting enemies that get harder and harder, trying to get the highest score and stuff. So, that is a Star Wars experience. I'll let you guys, there's, like I said, some secrets and stuff, some nice effects and sounds from the movies and stuff, as you're hearing some are here already. So now when you're going to the Death Star, you can see a little bit that now you're actually on top of it and you're shooting these things instead, which is really cool. So it changes a little bit of the gameplay up in each round, like I said. So really cool stuff. Let's go ahead and get back to the main menu and try the next one. And the way you get back to the main menu is really simple. You take these you hold all 4 buttons at the same time for 10 seconds and it goes right back to the main menu. So next one is the Empire Strikes Back. Here are the controls that you can see in the beginning.
He could destroy us. May the force be with you.
Let's do easy.
There's a meteorite in the ground area. Oh, sometimes.
Trying to kill the droids now. Now, I don't know if it's coming across as clear and sharp as it does on the screen in video, but I can tell you guys that this looks really sharp in person for sure.
Skywalker is with me. The Force is with you. We'll find an Imperial Walker. Use your harpoon to locate him. The shield doors must be closed. Prepare to make the Delta light speed. I want that shit not.
They may not look as sharp on video, but they definitely look outstanding here on the screen. Tells you one more shot and we're done for. And we just got a game over. So that is how that game goes. Let's go ahead and back out to the main menu as well. Like I said, there's a lot of secrets in the game, a lot of different things that happen, but I'm not going to show you the whole thing here. Of course, discover that for yourself, but that gives you an idea what the gameplay's like. Let's look at the third game here. So let's look at Return of the Jedi. So this is very different from the first two. You can see the first two are kind of similar to each other. This one's a little bit different. And you'll see that as very apparent as soon as you start. Start with easy.
Deactivated when we have confirmation of your code transmission. Leave them. I will deal with them myself. Go for help. I see it. Wait for me.
So here you're going through levels and you're maneuvering left and right and trying not to get shot, unlike I did the first 10 seconds, not even 10 seconds. And you can speed up and shoot from your vehicle there. Don't want to get shot by these guys. But you also don't want to crash either. So this game is definitely harder to play than the other two one-handed, that's for sure. Because you have to also avoid the trees and stuff. And this is not going very well at all, and this is my last life. But you're trying to get to the end of the level and not get shot. You can't just go straight because these guys will eventually take a shot at you. I just pushed him into the tree, so that worked out. I got him in that trap. And I just made it through there. Oh, it just got taken out right at the very end of that level, too. And then you can put your high score in here and stuff like that. So that's just a taste of what the games are like. Obviously, the games are obviously very different from each other. Or, sorry, this game is very different from the other two. And these are just classic games that are on this machine. And this is just a really, really nice cabinet. The way that it's designed and the artwork on the side, everything about it sparks just like the original was. But, of course, the questions that all need to be answered is if this was worth, you know, the asking price of what they're asking, which is $500. And does this yoke actually control well? Because if this thing doesn't control well, then we might as well not even be mentioning this arcade machine at all. So we're gonna go talk about that. Let's go get back to the table. I'm gonna give you guys my thoughts after playing with this machine for the last couple of weeks on how this yoke actually feels and everything I feel, and if it's worth $500. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right, guys. So that was the Arcade1Up Star Wars arcade machine. Now, let's start out with the price. So this is $499. This is their most expensive cabinet that they've ever released so far. So is it worth it? Personally, as a big Star Wars fan and as a big arcade fan, I think the price is justified. Now, you got to remember, they went out and got the Star Wars license. We all know that that's not cheap coming from, you know, Disney and Lucasfilm. So they had to get that license. They included the 3 games on here. So that in itself wasn't cheap. Then they made the marquee light up, which is nice, which is part of the 3rd generation line that they're doing that with. And, of course, that yoke controller. That yoke controller is what's making this obviously more expensive. That yoke controller is obviously going to be more expensive than you just putting plastic buttons. Now, granted, the yoke is 90% plastic, basically, with only 10% of actual metal housing that it's in. But still, these yokes can be like $350 by themselves if you wanted to get a yoke and put it into like a DIY kind of cabinet for Star Wars yourself. So that yoke controller goes a long way, and that definitely what's adding that $100 extra value or extra price in the price of the product. And of course the actual Star Wars license themselves. I mean, those two things combined are obviously adding to the price. And the reason I like it so much is because it's a very different experience than other arcade machines. Now, what I'm looking for, just to give you guys a little bit of background as far as my Arcade1Up machines, is the ones I want are ones that are different than a regular arcade machine. And that will become apparent on why when I do my full, you know, surprise tour on what I've been working on, but later this month at the end of November. But I don't want machines that are just regular 2-player button games. So the Star Wars one immediately attracted me because it's got a yoke controller and it plays very differently than, obviously you can't play this game at all with just with a regular you know, buttons on the actual arcade machine. You need a yoke controller or some sort of flight controller to actually be able to play this thing correctly. And the yoke controller itself, I've never played the original in the arcade. This was a little bit before my time. This came out in like '82. So I didn't really play this in the arcade and had any attraction in that way. But I think the yoke controller here feels great. It controls very well. It moves when you want it to move left, move right. There's calibration settings in the unit if you need to recalibrate it for any reason, even though it comes calibrated out of the box. But, I mean, it's a good controller. It works as it should. It feels responsive. It feels sturdy in your hands. It doesn't feel like it's going to break or anything. It doesn't feel cheap in any way. So it's a solid controller. How it compares to the original in '82, I have no idea. I'm assuming the one in '82 was probably built more like a tank because it was going to be sitting in arcades, being played by hundreds of people every month. And this is going to be sitting in your home, and Arcade1Up knows that this is sitting in your house. So it's not going to get that same abuse at home. But still, it feels really sturdy, and I don't see how this isn't going to last me for a long, long time with the way that this thing is built. So I'm really happy with this product, and I'm really happy to add it as one of my first Arcade1Up machines. Guys, if you guys are Star Wars fans, or if you guys are Arcade1Up machine fans, this is easily the best one they've produced so far. And if you're a Star Wars fan, you guys need to get this. This thing's the screen is really sharp, the display is really good, the games are fun to play, and it's a very unique experience to go back into the 80s and dive into this. Even as somebody who never played it, I'm having a lot of fun, especially if you're a fan of the movies and stuff. So big props to Arcade1Up on what they did with this machine. I hope all the rest of them in the 3rd generation line and going forward are going to be as good as this one. Guys, if you guys like this video, let me know in the comments below. Or if you guys have any questions, as always, look forward to more Arcade1Up reviews. I'll be doing a Marvel one here in a couple of weeks when I get that one. That's going to be the limited edition. So you guys can look forward to that. And look forward to more of these. And I hope you guys enjoy the video. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, leave it down below. If not, thank you guys for watching. Till next time.
Tech, UrGamingTechie is the gaming tech. UrGamingTechie, gaming tech. Eating brekkie is the gaming tech. Going for a recce is the gaming tech. UrGamingTechie is the gaming tech. UrGamingTechie.